Welcome to Triumphant Thursdays on Tea Time with Afternoon Social. Every Thursday, we talk to ladies who share their stories of achieving amazing things, big and small. They have overcome challenges, defied the odds, and made their dreams come true. Grab your favorite cup of brew and join us as we lift each other up and inspire each other to reach for the stars. Good afternoon and welcome to Tea Time with Afternoon Social. I'm Teresa Lauterbach, your host, and today we are at Triumphant Thursdays and with Melinda Dweck. Hopefully I pronounced that correctly. Melinda lives in Costa Rica and hosts a resource blog site called Connecting with Littles, where she shares information for moms of little ones based on her own experiences and struggles on her mothering journey. And she's a happy wife and mom of 4 little ones aged 6 years to 6 months. Quite a bit of handful there. And but today on Triumphant Thursdays, we're going to talk about God's grace in the messiness of motherhood. And she will be sharing her journey from dreaming of being a mother to embracing her overwhelming challenges and finding God's grace. And then she's going to share some of her wisdom with us from all of those experiences. So thank you, Melinda, for being here today. How are you?
Hi, I'm fine. Thank you so much for having me.
So the messiness of motherhood. So let's just kind of give us a little backstory on how it all started from dreaming of being a mom and what's going on with you.
Okay. Well, my story starts way back to whenever about dreaming of being a mom. I was the oldest of 4, and my youngest sibling was also born when I was 6. So I'm kind of following my mom's footsteps about 4 and 6 years. The first 4. And I always wanted my mom to have more. It wasn't possible for her, but I dreamed of her having, I wanted a little sibling, but never got that. After I was 6 years old, there were never more babies. Once I would have been older and wanted to take care of babies, and it was just my dream. I know it's not everyone's, but it totally was mine from the bottom of my heart. And so I imagined myself having a bunch of little ones. And then I became a mom. Well, I got married and became a mom. And 16 months later, I had my first daughter, and then 16 months later, my second daughter. And then things got really hard. We're 16 months apart, and I just wasn't prepared for it. I don't know if I'd done some babysitting and so on, but I don't know if I just had never really seen how demanding it could be to have 2 little ones under 2, or whatever, the general, the busyness that goes with all the time having children. It's different from having a few over at a time, babysitting a while, helping out another mom or something. It's different to be full-time mom with 2 little ones. And so that caught me off guard. At first, I don't think my first one was so overwhelming. She still is one of those more naturally well-behaved children. It actually gets harder as she gets older, because she's such a deep thinker and deep whatever, that it's not that she'll disobey, it's just that she'll have questions about what's happening, what's everything like. But anyway, I had my second daughter 16 months after the first one. And then when my second daughter was a year old, I got pregnant again and had a miscarriage. It was an early on miscarriage. I don't feel in one hand that it affected me terribly much, but it did a bit.
Yeah.
Then a few months later, I got pregnant with my third daughter. Now she's almost 3 years old. And 6 months ago, we had our first little boy. And so when it was just a few days before my oldest turned 6. And so after my first, I'd say the adjustment to motherhood was a bit hard, but in general, I'd get over it. But then after each of the others, I've had a time even now, I can't, even with the experience of 4, I thought, well, I'm ready for my 4th one, you know? But I've had a time where I've gone through, I don't know if it's postpartum depression or just hormones or whatever you want to blame it up to, or the overwhelm of little children, that they are actually that much work.
Right.
And so even these days I've been going through some rough times, just because it gets overwhelming for me. It's if I'm looking off to the side, it's because I'm making sure my baby stays happy.
Yeah.
It's a lot of work. It was something that I used to figure, well, why do people decide they're done having children after 2 or 3? Like I just wanted babies. I mean, give me a dozen. That was my dream. It was totally my dream. And now after my 3rd one, I think it was, well, after my 2nd one, I went through a very hard time because those first 2 were really close in age. And then the next 2, it's been gaps, a bit bigger gaps, at least over 2 years, 2.5 years, whatever.
Oh, yeah.
But still, just having that many more, even if they're not, I wouldn't say they're misbehaved children, they're normal children, but they're generally not perfect, but generally not terrible either. It's just that having children is a lot more work than I ever expected when I was dreaming of being a mom.
Yeah.
And just how I like to share just how I've come through each of those stages. And yeah, right now I am kind of in a messy stage again, because I'm struggling with my energy and so on. But I guess I like to remind other moms who are in the beginning stages, like I was with those first 2, under 2, that it's just a season.
Mm-hmm.
After each hard season, I have been able to enjoy my children truly and fully, and I do enjoy them. It's just having to accept that I get behind on dishes and laundry and housework, but I'll get through this stage, and then it will get easier again, and I'll be able to enjoy them and take them on their daily walks, which I haven't been doing lately, and things like that. So that's the kind of stuff I like to share with moms over and over, because I don't know why it caught me so off guard. Because now I see many moms talking about it. I guess probably in my first motherhood years, I wasn't on social media as much, and no one talked about it in person, or I just was deaf to the fact that there are hard days.
Yeah, and I know that kids all have their own personalities, and they don't necessarily match with yours. So you're probably button heads.
No, I like to tell other moms now in the earlier stages, I mean, it's harder than anything you've ever done. And I'm not saying only being a mom is hard. Like,
yeah,
people who aren't moms go through hard things too. It's just because this is my reality. This is what I'm living. There's hundreds of different things in life that can be hard. Probably life is harder for everyone than they ever expected it to be, like in one way or another.
Right.
And so
you have to get through the hard stuff in order to really enjoy the good stuff.
Mm-hmm. And it's all seasons. It's all about seasons. I know you've maybe gone through or hard stuff that I've never gone through, and there's things we don't understand about life, but it's seasons that come and go. And even if life is not easy, the years with little ones are not easy, but after each of my children, I can say I've come to a stage again where after a few really hard months, it just does get easier. I mean, it's never just sit back and relax and do nothing, but one can enjoy it again and enjoy motherhood and at least keep a bit more on top of the housework. And and be able to take them on walks, and the baby doesn't cry quite so often,
So what's
and all
been
those things.
the biggest challenge that you've had to really face and overcome?
Yes. And I guess it has somewhat to do with because I'm a go-getter and a doer.
Uh-huh.
I like to get things accomplished. Like just sitting around is not my thing, but when your babies are crying and need you to just sit around and the stuff piles up around, I've had to just learn too that, well, this is setting too high expectations for myself, and it's okay to just sit around. And so yeah, that's been my mess. My mess has been, there's another part of it that is a bit more vulnerable to share, but I like to share it for moms too, is the part of where I've had really low days emotionally, where I felt like, I guess one would call it postpartum depression. I felt like hurting my children, and not because they misbehaved. I don't know how I can say it. Like,
yeah, that's that.
And I say it to tell other moms, if they're going through it, they're not alone. But my children, just for crying or just for something, I'm so close to snapping sometimes, like, or I have been.
Yeah.
And moms need to know it, that they're not the only ones, because it was scary for me when I started realizing that I'd have these thoughts about hurting my baby, and he's not even misbehaving. Like, he's being just a normal baby. And how can I be a good mom if I have these thoughts? It's truly scary.
Yeah, well, and a lot of it goes with your physical, your hormones, too, all your physical changing, and that's a lot of stuff too.
That's why I like to tell moms, if you're going through that, you're not alone, and you're not a bad mom just because you get those thoughts, because it is hormones. You have to make sure you don't hurt your children.
Right.
And you have to call for help or get professional help if you need, or, I mean, I've had to go over to someone else's house sometimes just to go over to my mother-in-law's house just to make sure I can get her to help me take care of the children. I've had to ask my husband to please come home, because I just can't help it, and I don't want to do anything I regret. Right.
And that's great wisdom to tell other ladies, is that you be aware of no one to stop and ask for help, and not try to do it yourself.
Yeah, because once in a while, one hears these stories of these moms who end up in jail for hurting their children, or even, I'll dare say, some of them for taking their children's lives. And some of them are truly didn't have good hearts in the first place. But once in a while, there's these stories that stand out to me, where the dad says, but she was a good mom, she loved her children. And I would have used to look at those moms kind of judgmentally, judging them, like, how dare you do such? And anymore, those that were good moms, that everyone else knew them as a good mom, that loved their children, I don't. I look at them with a pity. Yes, justice has to be served if they hurt the children or did whatever. But the law has to do what's just. But poor mom, the weight she'll carry. And it was maybe because she didn't stop soon enough. Because I don't think I've come that close, but I've come close enough that I can't really judge those moms anymore. I just feel sorry for them and their children and their families. Right. Because I've gone through those really low times. But it's always just been a season. I mean, if anything would go longer, I'd definitely look for professional help or whatever. I have enough support around me that it's just a few days and so on. And if I make sure I go somewhere else or ask someone to come over, I've gotten over it, and then I've been able to enjoy motherhood and be a good mom again. Let's say it that way. But yeah, if you don't have that, do what it takes to not do things that you regret later, and you're not a bad mom just for having those feelings. That's what I like to tell other women, or would like to tell other young moms going through something similar.
But that's a very great wisdom and advice, and we're little kind of winding up here on our Triumphant Thursdays, and she had great insight. Especially, that's a part of messiness, the motherhood that we don't talk about, is the women are ashamed to admit that they're going to have those bad thoughts, but it's but facing them is what's needed. So I'm glad you shared that with us today. But Melinda will be back with us again tomorrow for Friends Day Fridays, and she's going to share some life hacks about simplifying your life and her life out there in Costa Rica. And so we will she'll join us again tomorrow on Friends Day Fridays. So thank you, Melinda, and we will talk to you tomorrow. Bye.
Thank you very much. Bye.